You've heard the stories, right? These absolutely wild tales of people being taken by aliens. And look, it's easy to just write them off, but what if we didn't? What if we looked a little closer? Because these stories, they might tell us less about what's out there in space and a whole lot more about the incredible universe inside our own heads. And yeah, that's the big question here, isn't it? We're going to dig into how a really strange feeling in the middle of the night can somehow morph into this vivid, totally detailed memory of being on a spaceship. It's a wild ride into the psychology of how we believe. So, just to be crystal clear, this is not about proving or disproving aliens. Nope. We're looking at the weird, fascinating things our brains can do, what they reveal about that powerful storytelling machine we've all got running 24/7. And we need to get this out of the way right now. This is not about mental illness. Research shows that, on the whole, people who report these experiences are psychologically just like everyone else. What they're often describing is rooted in a really common process that can happen to, well, to any of us. Okay, so if it's not aliens and it's not an illness, then where does the seed of a story like this even come from? Well, researchers have pretty much zeroed in on one very specific and, frankly, very freaky experience: sleep paralysis. It's such a bizarre state of being. Okay, imagine this. Your mind flicks on, you're totally aware of your room, but your body is still out cold. You can't move, you can't scream. And to top it all off, your brain starts projecting these incredibly vivid and often terrifying hallucinations. And what's just incredible is how these sensations line up almost perfectly with classic alien abduction stories. You often feel like there's someone threatening in the room with you, or this crushing weight on your chest that makes it hard to breathe. Some people even feel like they're floating right out of their own bodies. It can be absolutely terrifying. And the reason for this is actually pretty straightforward. See, during deep sleep, your brain paralyzes your muscles so you don't physically act out your dreams. Well, sleep paralysis is just this tiny glitch where your mind wakes up before your body gets the memo to turn off the paralysis and shut down the dream machine. So we have the terrifying physical part of it, but let's be real, there is a massive gap between a scary, confusing moment in bed and a full-blown memory of being on a spaceship, right? So how on earth does the brain make that kind of incredible leap? This right here is the whole ballgame. If you have no idea what sleep paralysis is, you'd be desperate to explain what just happened to you. Our brains hate a mystery. They need a story. And where do you think it finds one? Psychologists figure it happens something like this. First, you have the raw, scary experience. Then your brain starts scrambling for a story, any story, to make sense of it. And in our culture, the alien abduction narrative is right there, ready to go. And here's the key. The brain doesn't just copy the story, it actively builds a new memory around it, filling in all the gaps until it feels 100% real. Okay, that's a pretty compelling theory. But is there any hard proof that people who believe they've been abducted are more likely to create false memories? Well, you're going to love this. One study decided to put this whole idea to the test. Back in 2002, researchers published a study in the Journal of Abnormal Psychology designed to do exactly that. They wanted to see if there was a real, measurable difference in how memory works between abduction claimants and everybody else. And their setup was really clever. They had 3 groups. First, a control group, no abduction claims. Second, a group of people who believed they'd been abducted but couldn't remember it. And third, the group that claimed they had recovered detailed memories of their abduction, a lot of times through therapy. And wow, the results were pretty shocking. They gave everyone a memory test designed to trick them into remembering words that weren't there. And that recovered memory group, they created false memories at a way, way higher rate than the other 2 groups. It wasn't even close. So what's actually happening here? Well, the psychological reason is likely something called a source monitoring error. It sounds complicated, but it's a super common memory glitch where your brain remembers the information but totally forgets where it came from. The easiest way to think about it is this. It's like watching a really intense scene in a movie, and later on your brain kind of accidentally files that scene in your real-life memory folder. You can't separate the source. So for someone trying to explain sleep paralysis, a scene from a sci-fi movie could easily get woven into the fabric of a real memory. So when you put all these pieces together, the picture that emerges isn't really a story about ET at all. It's a deeply, profoundly human story about the strange and alien worlds that exist inside our own minds. The main takeaway is that our brains are not video cameras. They aren't passively recording what happens. They are active storytellers. They are literally built to find patterns and create narratives, to explain everything. And sometimes, to explain a feeling that is truly unexplainable, the brain cooks up a story so convincing, we believe it with every fiber of our being. In the end, maybe the real point of looking at these incredible claims isn't about finding life out there in space. Maybe it's about understanding the complex, mysterious, and absolutely fascinating life that's happening right here, inside our own heads.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? If our minds can build these incredibly detailed worlds to explain one weird feeling, what other little stories is your brain telling you every single day just to help you make sense of it all?